How's it going, everybody? It is your favorite apostates. I am McKay.
And I'm Jordan.
And today, I just want to get right into it because we're doing something really kind of different. But we kind of wanted to do this because it's a current event that's kind of happening near us. I don't know. It's kind of weird. We had a situation 2 years ago with Jordan's friend and sorority sister, Mackenzie Lewick, who disappeared. And we were really involved with that. And this is also going around. We don't know this person or anything about it, but it's a lot of the events happen close by. So
we're talking about Gabby Petito today. And when I first started reading about the case, and I saw pictures of her and everything, it just reminded me, like, I got total flashback to 2 years ago when my friend Kenzie went missing. And so my friend, if you've never heard of it, my sorority sister and friend Mackenzie Lewick was murdered here in Salt Lake.
She was abducted like literally a block away from our apartment at the time, which was also freaky. We were out of town, but
yeah. And she, for similar to this, like what the current case is right now, Mackenzie was just missing. Like, we had no idea where she was. Nobody had heard from her. She just kind of fell off. She was coming home from a trip and kind of fell off the map. And so it was days and days and days of putting flyers up and scouring anything and everything to try to find her. And so I saw the picture of this girl, and she reminds me of Kenzie. And the circumstance of the case remind me of Kenzie. And so with that and with the connection of this case also to Salt Lake City, I figured spreading awareness might be a good idea. I feel like as of today, it's starting to pick up steam quite a bit. I think it was on Good Morning America this morning. And so it's starting to pick up steam, but we have a fabulous group of subscribers who are just amazing and wholesome that care about people. And so if you haven't heard about it, if anything, it's she's missing, so you can keep your eyes peeled. If you have any tips, we'll give you the information for the tip line. But okay, let's dive in.
Jordan is going to be the main kind of source of information on this video. I might not have a lot to add because when she sinks her teeth into something, she likes to be thorough researcher on things like this. And as things are unfolding, it's a lot easier to keep up with things. We did a video about the whole Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell thing a while back, and there was a lot of holes because we weren't keeping very up to date on this. But Jordan has done very well in catching ourselves up. We were only a couple days behind. I think this was kind of breaking like over the weekend. So Jordan's figured out a lot of stuff. So she made up a little timeline, and we were just kind of looking at a couple different things that have happened since then. So
before we jump into case details, I'll have McKay put up here a picture of her and what she looks like. A few things to keep in mind. I will link her family has started a GoFundMe to help them with costs right now. And so I will link that in the description if you're feeling generous. And then I'll put the missing person poster here. Some like specific themes to note. She does have tattoos. So that's one thing that kind of makes her stand out. In Utah, she probably didn't stand out too much because she's cute and blonde. So, but yeah, okay. So let's start at the very beginning, shall we? So when you do research for stuff like this, you're pulling from like a bunch of articles and trying to keep things as accurate as humanly possible. As the media picks up things and things start to get crazy. And so I've tried to stick to primary sources, information from Gabby's mom, information from her dad, and then like reliable news articles.
Have you looked at Web Sleuth at all?
No.
Is that what it's called?
No.
Web sleuths?
Oh,
Whatever.
the one where I used to track Mackenzie's stuff on?
Yeah.
I haven't looked. I
I
bet.
should probably check on that.
I'm sure there's a thread. Okay, so we're talking about very basics here. We're talking about two people. We're talking about a girl named Gabby Petito, who's from Long Island. And then we're talking about her boyfriend.
Alleged boyfriend.
/ fiance / boyfriend, who's also involved, and his name is Brian Laundrie. So the two of them actually met in high school, and I guess they reconnected years later, started dating.
Sounds like us.
Reconnected, started dating, and let me pull up the Instagram post that I'm thinking of. So he made an Instagram post that people are kind of referencing now, July 3rd of last year, where he's like, my biggest fear is that one day I'll wake up and it will all have been a dream, because that's what every other second has felt like since the moment we found each other, till death do us part, or until I wake up. I'm so happy the answer was yes, love you. So people are like, oh my God, till death do us part. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
There's some things I'm going to comment on here and say that when I experienced this firsthand with Kenzie's case, when the media gets a hold of a story like this and somebody's missing and there's a timeline and there's allegedly people involved and there's a lot of things that don't make sense and there's some people who probably made some sketchy decisions, and when that starts happening and the world starts watching this like plethora of armchair investigators come out, okay? And everybody has a theory and everybody knows that somebody did it, and everybody is going to make suggestions like, oh my God, have you pinged her phone? And let me tell you, as somebody who was involved in like spreading accurate information about Kenzie's case, we got comments from people all the time that were like, oh my God, did you ping her phone? Oh my God, where was her car last seen? Oh my God, like, understand that in this case, as was that one, the police are handling this investigation. In this case, the FBI is involved. Well, FBI was involved in Kenzie's too.
Yeah.
But FBI is involved here. Police are involved here.
I'm pretty sure no FBI agent went, oh, did we didn't check where her car was.
Shit.
We didn't see where her phone was last pinged. Like,
so those comments are not helpful. And there's a bunch of people who have infiltrated his Instagram account, and last I looked, there was 3,000 comments on his most recent Instagram post that are like, where's Gabby? Where's Gabby? You did it. You're guilty. In my opinion, those things are not helpful. You can think those things yourself, but sharing your armchair investigator theories, especially in places where her family might see it, unless you have valid information that you can provide to the tip line, it's usually not helpful. So just putting that out there. So these two started dating in March of 2019, and then they got engaged in July of 2020. So there was some confusion with this because her mom in the press conference kept referring to Brian as her boyfriend and not her fiance. And in a later interview with Mom, she said that they had changed their mind, that they were young. They decided they didn't need to get married so young. And so they decided to just be boyfriend and girlfriend and not get married. I don't know if that's the case. Some people were speculating she feels like their relationship is rocky, which is why she was referring to him as her boyfriend and not her fiance. So there's some speculation on that.
yeah. I guess we'll get to some other information that might be pertinent to that
Yes,
reasoning.
we will.
That actually just came out. We're filming this on Wednesday. This will probably go, or Tuesday.
So these two presumably like to travel. Travel's their thing. They like hiking, adventure, all that fun stuff. So it seems to me like a lot of people in our age group, our generation, they became captivated with van life.
Probably because you can't afford a house anymore. So just go into debt and get a van.
No shade for van life people.
No, absolutely not.
If you can do it, that's great.
Couldn't be me, but go for it.
Couldn't be me. But that's what they wanted to do. So they did a cross-country trip at one point in either his or her small car, decided it wasn't very effective for a cross-country trip. So they came back and decided that they wanted to do van life.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, I guess they were doing, it's a Nissan Sentra for those who are interested. It's a pretty small sedan. And they were staying at like Airbnbs and shit.
Which is expensive.
Yeah. Which, I mean, when you're doing even the absolute basic, that's like $50 a night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
So that led them to do the van thing. They came up with the design and the customization and everything for their van. A lot of pride in that van based on what they post and what they talk about.
It's cool. Don't get me wrong.
Which I imagine if you dump that much money into something, that's how you would want to feel about it. So they plan another cross-country trip for this year. And so they started this trip, and sorry, I'm looking over here at my notes. They started this trip July 2nd. Based on what I can gather from the information, the two of them were living together somewhere in Florida, which is also where Brian's parents live. So they were living together, I think when the article said 2 years, they were living together in Florida. And so they had made a trip back to New York where Gabby's brother was graduating from high school. And so they went back up for his graduation. And then they were going from New York to start their cross-country trip. So the focus of the trip was more Western. They wanted to hit national parks, why they end up in Utah, because Utah has, 4?
I think.
A bunch.
And even more national monuments, too.
So they drive from New York to Colorado. They're in Colorado from July 8th to 11th. So that's where it starts. There were some pictures from like Kansas, I think, but like
flyover states.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Most notably there was nothing like on her Instagram that was like standing out. Obviously her parents knew she was going on this trip. Presumably Brian's parents knew they were going on this trip. Her mom has commented in interviews that she FaceTimed with her mom at least 3 times a week. So she was in pretty much constant communication and contact with her mom. So from Colorado, July 16th to the 18th, they end up in Zion National Park. Took some photos, stayed there.
Yeah.
Nothing notable. July
That's 20th. In southern Utah, by the way.
Yeah. July 21st, they end up in Bryce Canyon National Park, also still in Utah.
Yeah. Southern Utah has a bunch. Bryce Canyon, Zion, Arches, Canyonlands, all national parks.
You could spend
Capitol Reef is
that's another one.
National park, yeah.
Yep.
Which is bordering Arizona, but.
Yeah. So July 21st, they're in Bryce Canyon. July 26th, they go to the super like influencer Instagram spot, which is the Mystic Hot Springs in Monroe, Utah.
Is that the one with the bathtub?
They have bathtubs, and everybody, like all the influencers, go there to take pictures. So that's in Monroe. I'm pretty sure that's still.
Yeah, that's still down south. Oh yeah, they had that flood the other day.
Yeah.
Down there. Yeah.
Then July 30th and 31st, they went to Canyonlands National Park, which is also still in Utah.
Still in Utah.
So we're spending a lot of time here.
There's a lot of stuff in Utah, but there's also a lot of nothing in Utah. You just have to go to the right place for the right stuff. And most of it is not in Happy Valley.
She posts a picture. I'll have McKay put it up there. She posts a picture in Mystic Hot Springs on the 26th. Doesn't post on Instagram again until the 30th when they're
July, right?
Yes, when they're in Canyonlands. She has the first picture with the Mystic one has a short caption. The second one has a long caption. And then the Canyonlands one, she posts on July 30th and July 31st. And then goes quiet until August 12th. So this is kind of out of character character. Oh my
For
god.
her.
For her based on her Instagram posting schedule. Which is kind of a bizarre thing, especially if you're like a relative influencer. You got to keep consistent posts on Instagram or you'll lose engagement. So, July 30th and 31st, Canyonlands. Then she goes quiet on Instagram for 12 days. And then she posts on August 12th. And on August 12th, they made it to Arches National Park, also in Utah. So she posted a picture on August 12th of them at the Arches. She's in the pictures. He's in the pictures. They hiked up to Delicate Arch. She talks about what a great experience it is, blah, blah, blah. She makes 2 posts on August 12th. At this point, I haven't looked too far deep into his Instagram account because I didn't really want to. At this point, notably on his Instagram account, he stops posting anything Instagram-wise August 13th. That's the last time he posted on Instagram. So, August 12th, when their Arches is in Moab, Utah, a family member of hers in one of the Facebook groups that's dedicated to finding Gabby, a family member of hers who's actually confirmed to be a family member, posted a timeline of events that happened leading up to her disappearance. And one of those events was the word domestic on August 12th. And so there wasn't a lot of clarification around that event, just that it was domestic, and domestic to me means domestic dispute. And then about, 10 minutes before we filmed this video, an article came out from Fox News saying...
Wait. What Fox News? KU Fox News 13 or Fox News?
No, actually Fox News.
Ew.
Utah police have confirmed that officers were called for an incident involving Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito roughly 2 weeks before she was last seen, and a month before she was officially reported missing. So they said our officers did respond to an incident involving Brian and Gabby on August 12th. However, neither Brian or Gabby were the reporting party. This is according to the Moab chief of police. Officers conducted an investigation and determined that insufficient evidence existed to justify criminal charges. So, in my experience with domestic disputes, when other people report and you're staying...
It's
got to be pretty rowdy,
yeah.
Right? If you're staying in a public area, like if they're staying in a campsite or they're staying somewhere with a van, and somebody else calls... There's something there, right? But also in my experience, a lot of domestic disputes are minor and could be people just yelling at each other and getting heated. And so this also could be nothing. This could be an argument. This could be something simple. I don't think it's helpful for anybody to imply what happened because we don't know. But we, at least from that family member who mentioned it, we know that that's confirmed because Utah police have confirmed it. So, but no charges pressed against anyone, and that's August 12th. Next notable date is August 19th. So these two have a YouTube channel. I don't know when they created it.
Okay. This was created November 28th, 2013. So it was presumably one of their channels. Like way back before either of them it's decided to start this. Okay.
So it's super old. On August 19th, they upload a video, and we'll include like the only piece of it that I feel was like super relevant was a little bit of Gabby talking and a little bit of Brian talking. It's super short. The video as a whole is just kind of a montage of trips.
Yeah.
Presumably from their trip so far. So,
well, from that one and the past one and this one, because in a couple scenes they had that Nissan that they were driving.
So it was a montage of like footage of traveling. Yeah. Not a lot of talking.
Hello, and good morning. It is really nice and sunny today. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, but it rained all afternoon yesterday. So me and Brian just got up and got ready, made the bed in the tent, set up. I think our plan for today is to just hang out here in the tent. Brian's stretching, doing some morning yoga. That's cool.
That worked out well.
Alright. So I'm gonna make some yogurt. He's looking to steal some of his granola. All the chocolate melted.
I know, it's a river of chocolate. Be cautious.
You can't keep chocolate in Utah. Not in July. Or in a clear plastic container
Yeah.
that is always in the sun.
I was in the tent this morning, I think that's why.
I love the band.
So, we are right outside Capitol Reef right now in a free dispersed camp spot. And we've been lucky so far at all the places we've stayed, but I'd say this is one of the best so far. Since we left New York, I've only set up my hammock once, and now we're all the way in Utah, and luckily enough, I was able to set up my hammock in one of these trees.
And we're kind of like in the desert.
Very few trees.
They upload that to their YouTube channel on the 19th. And so the 19th is the next time she posts on Instagram after the arches. It's kind of a weird post. I'll have McKay put it up so you can see it. It's her with the back door of the van open, like staring at the mountains. She's not in it. You can't really see anything but her legs. And you can see it looks like Brian sitting in front of her. And then the second photo is a picture of their van. So kind of weird. Caption is non-significant, talking about people leaving garbage in the park when they shouldn't be.
Why is that weird?
I mean, nothing like crazy or out of the ordinary. I mean, it is kind of a weird photo for her feed, in my opinion. When you're an Instagram influencer or trying to expand your Instagram audience, you kind of have a certain vibe going on your feed. And, you know, as far as filters go, as far as poses, positions, the types of photos you post. So this one is kind of out of character for her, I feel like, a little bit. But still reads in her same kind of like random emoji type voice, if you will. So that's the 19th.
Did she even make any mention of their YouTube video channel?
No. She did not. She could have, like, on her stories, but as you know,
Yeah.
Instagram stories expire after 24 hours, so...
But that's weird that there wouldn't even be, like, a regular post about it.
I thought so, too.
I feel like that would be kind of a big thing.
I thought so, too, especially if they're using YouTube as a potential way to fund
Yeah, exactly.
their adventures.
I mean, 5,000. I don't know how many subscribers they had before this stuff was starting to get up. I mean, they just in the last couple minutes, it was at 5.15K, and it's now at 5.35K. So I don't know how many subscribers they had, but
It's not,
this video has 375,000 views on it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, I wish we could have seen where it started, because that is most certainly
Yeah.
not the amount of views
probably
they would
could
have
look up
seen.
the analytics, but
Regardless, you know it's because everybody has seen the story and they're following along, and this is a video with both of them in it, so presumably
Yeah.
people are going to be intrigued. So yeah, 5,000 subscribers, 375,000 views on a video. That's a lot. So that photo was from the 19th. And then the 21st. So this is kind of where things start to get weird. So the 21st, they're in Salt Lake City, or Gabby's in Salt Lake City, at least. So she's in a hotel in Salt Lake, and she calls her dad and says, hey, the power's out at the hotel. I don't have Wi-Fi. Can you order Uber Eats for me? Because I can't connect to Wi-Fi. So her dad orders her food, buys her pizza, whatever, sends it to her. This is the last time that dad speaks to her. As things have kind of transpired, as the domestic event kind of gets more light, later on today, which is Tuesday, further comments from Gabby's mom came out, saying that Brian actually left, and flew back to Florida, presumably on the 17th is what they're saying, the 17th of August, to help his father move things, like move her things and Brian's things into storage for some reason. And so he was not in Salt Lake with her, at least on the 21st. The sources that I've read are saying that he was in Florida from the 17th until the 23rd.
That would give him time to upload that video. It
would give him time to upload the video.
And edit it.
And it would also, the 24th, is when they check out of the Salt Lake hotel. So he would have time to fly back to Salt Lake City on the 23rd, and then they leave Salt Lake City on the 24th. So the 24th is the last official place that Gabby was seen, was at a hotel or a motel. I've seen both in articles in Salt Lake City, which is where we're at. So she has a FaceTime call with her mom on this day, on the 24th, and tells her that they are en route to Grand Teton National Park.
In Wyoming.
Yes. So mom has like official call with her at that time. Then on the 25th, she posts a weird picture on Instagram, and people are kind of confused. On the 25th, I'll have McKay put the picture up. She posts a selfie type photo in front of a mural.
That's not a selfie.
Well, a picture. Sorry. A picture in front of a wall, a mural that's actually in Ogden here in Utah, which is north of Salt Lake City. So if they were headed up that direction, being in Ogden would make sense based on the timeline. But it's kind of bizarre. Her whole feed is pictures of her, like up to this point, her whole feed is of pictures of her in very casual outfits, like hiking outfits, comfy outfits, sport bra, sweatpants. She's very casual, I'll say, based on these photos. And then this picture kind of stands out because she's in a nice, cute shirt, a skirt, and heels, which to me is kind of weird.
Why?
If you're driving, I mean, I guess she could keep an outfit in the car and change, but even like in the picture she's taking of herself, she doesn't have to be like, she's not the Instagram influencer that's like, here is me in full makeup and cute outfit and heels and everything. Because that's the kind of image you have to continue to present if that's what you're going to do. And she's not like that. I mean, we're talking hoodies, jean shorts, her hair is up a lot of the time, spandex shorts, tank tops, casual. Like even going back on her feed I don't see any photos like the one that she posted on the 25th. There's nothing on here that's as dressed up as that photo. And it's weird for a variety of reasons. I mean, she could change and then be casual again in the car. It just seems weird. I don't know. It comes off as weird to me.
Maybe she just wanted to look nice. I don't think this is as big of a thing as you think it is. That's just my opinion.
I don't think it's like a thing. It's just bizarre.
I don't even know if it's bizarre.
Okay, she's holding a pumpkin.
What's bizarre about that?
A crocheted pumpkin, okay, which is kind of cute. And then the caption says, Happy Halloween.
Okay, that's weird. In August. Okay, well, you didn't say that.
Okay, but...
You're like, talking about her outfit.
Which I still think is weird. It's weird.
She just goes...
It's weird. It's weird to me. And the pumpkin makes sense because it's fall. It's August. Pumpkins are fine in August. It's just...
Pumpkin spice comes out. I think that was like around the same time.
Yeah, so that's not weird to me. The pumpkin thing isn't weird to me. But
Happy Halloween, damn.
It just seems kind of weird.
A little early.
And she has like these little like emoji type, not emojis. I don't know, what would you call these like little things? Like little symbols?
I don't even know.
They're not emojis, but they're like little symbol things that she puts in her captions sometimes.
I guess.
Yeah, and there's none of those in this one, just two emojis, a fly and a pumpkin. And so...
A fly.
It just seems kind of off. Some people have been looking at like the length of her hair and whether or not these were actually like current pictures or if these were old or...
That wouldn't make any sense because it's in Ogden.
So some weirdness levels to it. I don't really know. The other thing that people were noticing is like in most, if not all of her pictures, if I scroll back a little bit, they all have the little geotag on Instagram where you can tag where you're at. She has that for pretty much every single one of her photos. Yeah. I've scrolled for quite a bit now. So basically all of her photos are geotagged. The last two pictures she posted are not. And so the last two also... The last one, the 25th one, also didn't have hashtags, which she frequently uses. So people were like, okay, it's kind of bizarre posting habits.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're living in a van and your livelihood might be dependent on your social media presence and things like that.
Well, and people are going to hate on me for her outfit, but as far as her feed goes, like, it stands out. When you're an Instagram influencer, you pay some energy and some time into making your feed a certain way. And so you want to make things consistent, and this picture definitely stands out amongst the rest of her Instagram. So that might seem like a minor thing, but it's something. You don't know. Nobody knows. It's something. Okay, so that August 25th...
Armchair investigator.
Yes. I'm throwing out all possibilities here, okay? So the 25th is that photo. No geotag. The caption is kind of inconsistent for her. The hashtags are weird. This is also the day that she tells her mom she's in Grand Teton. The 27th, according to one source, she Snapchatted a friend on the 27th saying she was going to Yellowstone. At this point, verbal communication, video FaceTime communication with her family has stopped. And on the 30th, in reports, she had texted her mom, and kind of based on the response, what she was saying, kind of how she was texting, her mom wasn't sure that it was her. The 25th is the last post she made on Instagram and has not posted anything since. So, obviously during this time, parents aren't hearing from her. Nobody's hearing from her. So, on September 10th, Gabby's mom reaches out to Brian and Brian's parents and says, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of Gabby. I haven't heard from her in more than a week. I don't know what's going on. Do you know where she is? No response from Brian. No response from Brian's parents, which is kind of bizarre. Now we're getting into kind of weird, okay? So and based on the article that I read, the mom said that Gabby had a good, positive relationship with Brian's mom, and that Brian's mom was like very supportive and loving of Gabby. And so they had a very positive relationship. And then as a mother reaching out to another mother saying, hey, my kid's missing and your son was the last one she was with. So do you know anything about that? And then to not have her respond. It's kind of
odd.
Kind of sketchy. It did say in the article that I read that Brian does have a sister, and his sister Cassie is the only one who responded. I don't know if she responded to her mom specifically, but has spoken to authorities. So his sister is the only one who's done that. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know if her and Brian have like an estranged relationship, or she just wants to clear her name.
Citizen.
Yeah, and doesn't want to be involved with this. I wouldn't blame her. So September 11th, officially, it took a minute for her mom to file the missing persons report, because my understanding was there was some confusion because she was out of state, and so like she's a New York resident, but she was on vacation, and so there was like weird across state lines stipulations and confusion. And so Gabby was officially reported missing the night of September 11th. Now, mind you, while all this is happening, Brian somehow drives the van that the family refers to as Gabby's van, drives it back to Florida, parks it at his parents' house, and just chills there. So somehow he's made it back to Florida.
Well, I mean, it probably is Gabby's van. Have you seen that thing?
Yeah. So
she definitely did most of the designing on that.
Oh, for sure. They went on this trip together, and then somehow, some way, we don't have a timeline, he drives back to Florida in her van without her. Seems kind of sus, if you ask me. So the van is at his parents' house. Gabby's supposed cousin said that he was pulled over in the van by police and refused to cooperate because he's driving a missing person's car. Well, sus. So that same day, the van gets impounded by the police. The police take it looking for any potential evidence that's in the van. So that's it. And then September 14th, because people are staked out, obviously. I imagine if you went down to where his parents live, there's reporters out there standing outside 24/7, because they know where his parents live. And so September 14th, I think it was the Daily Mail photographed a guy dropping off a pink envelope at Brian's house, and somebody, I don't know if this is actually valid or not, but somebody said that the pink envelope is just a notification that the card's been impounded, and like everybody gets a different colored copy, like the original, the yellow one, the pink one. So that's what people were saying. People were wondering if it was a subpoena. He can't be subpoenaed unless they're like physically handing it to him. My understanding is somebody can't be subpoenaed unless they are subpoenaed in person.
And they were just delivering it to like the mailbox.
They were just dropping it off at the door, is what it looked like. And then September 13th, they mentioned this to Gabby's mom when they did an interview with her. They took a picture of Brian's father, like outside doing yard work. And so Gabby's mom was asked about it and was like, yeah, it does seem kind of weird. Like I'm out here searching everywhere for my child, and your son was the last one that was with her, and you're out mowing your lawn.
Just doing nothing.
Sounds kind of weird. So that's kind of that's the timeline. Essentially, the main concern, I think, of everyone in this case is that he obviously came home without her in her van. And when the police went to the parents' house to try to make contact with him, his parents gave the police the number of his attorney. So, and I will say, you know, just because somebody's getting an attorney doesn't mean they're guilty. So we have to keep that in mind. If in some, you know, I'm not saying he's innocent, but if there's by some minute chance he comes out of this actually being innocent, the entire world who's aware of this case right now is sacrificing this dude all over the internet.
Yeah.
So I think anybody in his position would want a lawyer because, you know, you got thousands of people commenting on your Instagram that you did it. And presumably, what did he do? We don't know. She's still missing. And that's kind of the crux of everything right now is we don't have any proof. You know, the police keep saying it could just be that she's missing or something insidious could have happened. We don't know for sure. And even the police chief was like, yeah, it's kind of odd that the one person that was with her doesn't want to talk to us. And they're at the point in the case right now where they can't force him to talk to them. And so he's choosing to not talk to the police at this point, which to me would feel like you're making things more
Complicated.
sus and making yourself seem more...
I mean, if you're innocent, I would want to be cooperating with the police.
That's what I would too, I would think.
With the investigation. You would think.
I would think, but
I don't know.
There's a few other things. So now all the armchair investigators are looking at this guy, right? So they're going through his Instagram. They're going like way back in his Instagram, and he has some drawings that are kind of more morbid looking.
Grotesque. That means nothing.
And that's what I'm saying. And so people are like, oh my gosh, he does these. And the drawings are almost always out of like some comic book or some like movie cartoon or something. But they are like kind of
a little jarring.
Sketchy looking, even. Okay. To the average person who might not be into metal. So like McKay has a bunch of these shirts and they're jarring if you have no like...
It keeps people from talking to me in passing usually.
Right. So if you know nothing about a person who has things like that, it might stereotyping people, right? It might give you an idea of who they are as a person. But people who, you know, listen to metal bands who have merch that's like this aren't serial killers either.
No.
Or don't kill people or are suspicious of killing people either. So I caution people to not read into that too much because that's just...
Yeah, I think if maybe he had videos of him harming animals, that would be a little more interesting. But, I mean, yeah.
So there's that.
He was drawing the things?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tons of artists who draw things like that every day, and they're like...
Well, yeah, and it's like...
It's nothing.
Skulls and skeletons and...
That's
like,
pretty... Yeah.
bloody and things of that nature. And that doesn't make anybody anything. He's also reading some like serial killer-y type graphic-y books. I guess the guy who did Fight Club has a few like weird, sketchy serial killer type books out there. So he was reading that. I think they both together were reading about the Zodiac. And so people are like, oh my God, he's reading like these books. And then they both listen to the Morbid Crime podcast. And people are like, oh my God, they both and I'm like, you guys.
She was too.
First of all, she was too. And second of all, like how many, it's listening to true crime shit is super popular among our age group, I feel like, especially. Like,
well, and they're a little bit younger than us, but
she's only 22. And so it's a normal thing to listen to true crime. I know plenty of people in our age group and younger who do. Any true crime person who hosts a podcast is going to say, yeah, the people who listen to us, not all of them, like, kill people. So,
true.
Just saying. So there are those things that people are concerned about with him. Those things aren't of biggest concern to me. Obviously, his behavior for me is what's concerning.
Yeah. Another weird thing that we noticed, the end of the YouTube video that is on their channel, the end has a card link to, or not a card, an end screen link to another video, but it was removed. So allegedly there was more videos on the channel that are now removed. One or more.
That were removed.
I looked, I couldn't find if anybody had it downloaded. So there's no really way of knowing. If he removed it or unlisted it, you could still probably, it could be reinstated or anything like that. If he deleted it altogether from YouTube, either to cover his tracks or
take
by the direction
unsavory
of his attorney, who knows? You would never see it again after that.
I mean, a lot of people are surprised that he hasn't deleted his Instagram yet, but I mean, deleting his Instagram looks kind of sus too.
Yeah.
And so with the fact that his parents revealed that he does have an attorney, obviously a majority of the choices that he's making right now probably aren't going to be his own. So the other thing I wanted to share was the statement. So the Laundrie family, and per Brian's attorney, made a statement that reads, "This is an extremely difficult time for both the Petito family and the Laundrie family. I understand that a search has been organized for Miss Petito in or near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. On behalf of the Laundrie family, it is our hope that the search for Miss Petito is successful and that Miss Petito is reunited with her family. On the advice of counsel, the Laundrie family is remaining in the background at this juncture and will have no further comment." So again, they're under the direction of an attorney right now, which is going to guide a lot of their choices. But that doesn't really help anyone. The thing that I think, if she is truly missing, okay, like if
at one point he was with her and then she wasn't, so he might have a little insight as to where or when that occurred.
Right. So we don't even know, like, how do you... It was the same thing with Kenzie's case, because we had the point that she was last seen, but the whole time up until we got the answers of what actually happened, investigators told us that they had no reason to believe that she was still in the area that she was last seen. And so in these cases, you don't even really know where to look. Like, you have a lot of people will rely on the last place seen. I wouldn't blame them in this case, because the last place she was verifiably seen was here in Salt Lake. And so they have no way to prove that she made it to Grand Teton. There's no video footage. There's no pictures. There's nothing to prove that she actually made it there. In the last place.
Or Yellowstone, for that fact.
Because they were going to hit Grand Teton and then go to Yellowstone. And so it seems bizarre, especially with her Instagram profile, that they would go to Grand Teton and she wouldn't take pictures. Yeah. And post them. And so that was Brian's attorney's statement. And then let me read you, Gabby's mom and her family also made a statement. So her mom's last name is Schmidt, just for reference. So it says, "The Schmidt and Petito family are going through the worst moments of their lives. Their beautiful 22-year-old daughter is missing, and the one person that can help find Gabby refuses to help. Brian Laundrie was traveling with Gabby in the Grand Teton Yellowstone area. They were traveling together in Gabby's 2012 Ford Transit van. That is where we believe Gabby was last seen. Brian is refusing to tell Gabby's family where he last saw her. Brian is also refusing to explain why he left Gabby all alone and drove her van to Florida. These are critical questions that require immediate answers. The Schmidt and Petito family begged the Laundrie family not to remain in the background, but to help find who Brian referred to as the love of his life. How does Brian stay in the background when he is the one person that knows where Gabby's located? The Schmidt and Petito family implore Brian to come forward and at least tell us if we were looking in the right area.
That's all they have to do. Yep, you're in the right place. But they won't even do that.
Well, I mean...
So, congratulations, Laundrie family.
There are a million circumstances that could have happened here. With the domestic happening on the 12th and not knowing the circumstances surrounding that, maybe relationship issues. But all couples fight.
Yep.
And so that could be completely unrelated to what's going on here. But the thing is I don't know how this dude, and maybe he did think, and that's why he has an attorney, but I don't know how this dude drove that van back to Florida and was like, yeah.
Nothing's wrong with this.
This isn't weird.
Nobody's going to ask me any questions.
No one's going to know.
Especially, how are they going to know?
They're going to know. I mean, we laugh, but it's not funny.
Honestly, yeah. And it's
bizarre. It's bizarre that somebody would think that, people weren't, maybe he does know, and that's why he has the attorney. But you think, people aren't going to ask questions?
Yeah.
People aren't going to be like, yo, the love of your life, your fiance that you left with, you don't come back with?
Yeah. And I hate to be a pessimist, but she's a blonde, white girl. What is the first thing that you think of when a blonde, white girl goes missing? Obviously, her mom was going to call at some point and be like, hey, where you at?
Well, especially, I don't know, again, it just seems like bizarre behavior on his part, knowing that Gabby talks to her mom at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I guess he could have had it in mind that, they're in and out of Wi-Fi range. And I think that's why her mom didn't think twice when she hadn't heard from her in a few days, because especially when you're in Grand Teton and Yellowstone, signal is super spotty. So I think that lent itself to potentially some extra time if something sus was going on. It definitely reads icky to me. My gut says he definitely obviously had something to do with it. I don't know what it is. In these cases, it's, especially when people are missing, it's hard to hold out hope, but at the same time, we don't have definitive answers at this point. And so they could have gotten a fight and she could have said, drive my van home and leave me here and I'll find my way or stay in a hotel or something. But even that doesn't make much sense, because I think she would at least try to come into contact with her mom,
her family,
or her family members,
especially if she's on Good Morning America.
Right. Where's her phone? Why, there's just so much in this that stinks. There's so much of this that's it just doesn't sit right. And so that's basically all the information we have. And if this case is anything like it was with my friends, we know about this much of what they know.
Yeah.
And that's by design. And I think in these cases, there was, after we found out Mackenzie was murdered and, all the details of the case after the fact, and talking with investigators and things, and when all the details of the case were coming out, we realized that the investigators had 10 times more information that they shared with us basically at every junction of the case. And so, armchair investigators come out and people are like, oh my gosh, why isn't the FBI doing anything? They're not pressing charges. The police aren't searching anywhere. And like when Mackenzie went missing, that was the most bizarre thing to those of us that were like putting up flyers and things that were like, why aren't we organizing like a search party in Salt Lake? Like, why aren't we doing it by where she went missing? And they would just tell us, we have no reason to believe that she's in that area. And we were like, that doesn't tell us anything. And they were right. It was because she was picked up from that location and taken to the place that she was murdered. And so there was no reason to look in that area, but they weren't going to tell us that. And so I think there's probably lots of information in this case that we don't know. Similar with any type of case like this, if you're looking at somebody who's sus and you're looking at pressing charges, and you're looking like down the line of going to court and trial and everything, you only got one shot to do that. And so in these types of cases, especially if someone did something truly horrendous, it makes sense to stack the deck beforehand and to get everything, all the details gathered and everything in a row before any moves are made.
Yeah. It's complex.
It's complex.
That's for sure.
And I don't know if it was today or yesterday that they announced that the FBI from Florida is getting involved. And so obviously there's a lot of eyes on this case right now. And so with that being all the details we have, it makes sense why there's a million people on the internet who have a million theories as to what happened. But I think the most important thing to come out of this is awareness, obviously, because this girl is still missing. Even if the outcome is the dreaded outcome that nobody hopes for, information about where she is currently is still needed. So any person who's seen anything minor or has some kind of tip or anything, like the further this case gets, the more that helps. Like somebody in the Facebook group the other day said, oh my gosh, I just came across this. I saw them when we were at Arches. We talked for a little bit, and she immediately called them the investigators and recalled everything that she remembered. And so the more people are involved, the more people see these types of things, the more people are like, oh my gosh, I saw the van, or I saw him, or I saw them when they were XYZ. Even the most minute of things can be helpful in these cases. So keep that in mind. So yeah, I am interested to hear your thoughts. If you have thoughts, please drop them in the comments. I know this is kind of different from our usual light-hearted content. But with the connection to Salt Lake and with how similar to me this case feels to Kenzie's, I feel like the least we can do, even if it reaches just one of our 16,000 subscribers that didn't know about it, I feel like is helpful. So I will link the GoFundMe that they have set up for her in the description, and then I will also link the official Facebook group that they have going for her that was set up by her mom. And then I will also link the press conference that her mom and stepdad did. So you can watch all of those there. Regardless of sus details and shitty people who might be involved. And probably by the time that this gets posted, there will probably be even more new information. So this might even be dated by the time you watch it. But I cannot fathom or imagine what it is like to have a child, your child, that is missing. That is not something I can even, as a parent, wrap my brain around. So I truly, truly hope that investigators and everybody have this in a place that leads to hopefully a happy outcome. That's my hope.
Yeah. If you can help in any way, if you have any sort of information you want to donate to them, please do. Otherwise,
I'll have McKay include the tip line, and I'll put it in the description as well. So if you do have information, that's the number you can call.
Follow us on social media. Hit that subscribe button. We might give some updates as they come. Other than that, we will see you next time.